Welcome back. You're listening to WSB Stony Brook. Before you listened to was the In Blood and Light EP by As Artifacts. We had some Skype issues, so we had some pop punk songs going. We are now joined by two of the members. You wanted to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So I'm David Granillo.
All right, you're good.
My name is David Granillo. I do guitar. I write a lot of instrumentals, and I'm currently doing clean vocals for As Artifacts.
And my name is Mikey, and I play drums.
So I'm going to start with some warm-up questions. Nothing too hard, like I said before. What some recent artists have you been listening to?
You go first, Mikey.
Oh God, come on. I don't know. I've been on a crazy, ridiculously heavy kick recently. So I don't know. I'm really all about last 10 Seconds of Life right now. I recently got into Sworn In and all that kind of stuff. So I've been really listening to those albums kind of nonstop. But I don't know, man. I just listen to, man. It's so hard to narrow it down. David, you've got the weird taste. You got the weird taste.
Yeah, weirdly enough, we play in such a, I guess, extreme genre compared to a lot of genres. I listen to stuff that's not even close. I do have my heavy fix, but I listen to a lot of chill stuff. I listen to, I don't know if you want to call it a band or an artist, but her name's Chelsea Wolfe. I'm obsessed with her. Listen to heavy bands I listen to. I mean, I listen to a lot of Bring Me the Horizon. They're not super heavy anymore, but it's...
They kicked it down a lot with the new album.
Yeah.
I still like it, though. It's still, catchy and all that.
The weird thing is that I like the new stuff better. It's emotionally more...
Yeah, definitely. Same thing happened with, We Came as Romans and stuff. They toned it down, too. I guess to try broaden for audience and stuff.
Yeah.
I try mature with their music. So the next question I have: if you had to cover one song right now, what would it be? It can be from any era. It can be anything.
What's that song you wanted to cover, David? The Amy Winehouse song.
Yeah, I wanted to cover Back in Black or Back to Black by Amy Winehouse.
And I want to cover Back in Black by AC/DC, so
yeah.
It all works.
And my last warm-up question: what are your favorite pieces of equipment to work with, with the instruments? What type of instrument you like to use the best, brand?
So pretty much what brand we
what brand do you
with.
use? What do you like using while in the studio?
Okay. You go ahead first, Mikey.
Oh man, I don't. I mean, my drum fix right now is SJC Drums. They're a great company. I wish I still had the kit I was using, but that's kind of next on my list. That's probably my favorite kit that I've ever tracked on live in the studio, and I'm all about Zildjian cymbals. I'm all about Evans drum heads and ProMark sticks. That's kind of my go-to brands right there.
That's pretty cool. What about you, David?
For me, I'm using LTD Deluxe. Nothing too crazy, but I definitely dig just LTD and ESP, the brand itself. I feel just the guitars they make, they suit me really nicely. Just the overall feel of the instruments that they make. For amps, I like to use, right now I'm using a PV JSX head, and I have a bunch of other pedals and stuff, but for pedals I tend to go with Boss. I have an MXR GTOD, I think it's my little booster pedal, but yeah, I tend to side with ESP LTD.
Okay, so we're going to move on with some more general questions. So with the lineup changes, you had a couple of new members recently join, Lane, Nick, and Julian.
Yeah.
Do you feel like Artifact as Artifacts is being like rebooted in a way, or like are they like growing from? Well, what I'm trying to say, are they starting from like a new start, pretty much?
It's kind of, I would say it's like kind of both things. You know, we're picking up
Picking up pieces.
in a sense of uh it's like a continuation, you know, of where we were, but it is also a fresh start. You know, we're coming at it from like the mindset that, you know, we really kind of do have to start over from scratch, you know, like in the sense of, you know, when we go out and play shows, you know, we're not going to be going out and playing you know, big venues like we used to do on tours occasionally and whatnot, you know. And it's like when we get back out on tour, it is kind of almost like we're bringing a brand new band to people. So, but I mean, at the same time, you know, we're picking up kind of where we left off from our last album, and the single we did before that was called Bloodlines. So it's kind of picking up. This is a new era in the sense that the In Blood and Light EP is the first stuff that David wrote with the band. And so it's new in that sense, but the vibe, the feel of our band, I think, is definitely still there. The thing that people knew from before, basically, is definitely still there.
Oh, okay. So speaking about like with the lineup change and like with the shows, how did the San Jose show go that happened recently? I guess it was like an EP release.
Yeah, that was like our EP release down. We work with a production company called Pinup Productions. They're from a little bit south of us. We're from kind of the East San Francisco area. They're from the South San Francisco area. So we like to go out and play there, you know, just because they have a pretty great scene out there. A lot of really cool people out there working to try to, you know, keep the music scene going. And the show was really fun. It was definitely. It felt good because, like, me and David hadn't played a show together in over a year. You know, since the last show we did, which was actually in San Jose back in January of 2015. So it was cool getting back on stage after a year. I know I definitely felt kind of rusty. I don't know about you, David, but no, it was a cool experience. I think it was nice to try out our new lineup live for the first time, and yeah, I think it worked well. Aside from the fact that we were all kind of rusty, but you know, I think it went over pretty well.
Yeah, honestly, like I had spent like the whole month out there because I live here in Portland, Oregon now. So like I did that commute, or not the commute, but like, you know, I flew out there for an entire month just to prepare for that show.
Crashed on my couch.
Yeah, crashed on my couch. You know, we did as much as we could to just try to be as solid as we could for when the day came for our return show. And like that was the first show with the new lineup. You know, we still have like limited physical copies of the album. So we're just like, it was cool. It was a crazy month. It was a crazy weekend. You know, it was a lot of fun.
So we're going to move on with some questions about the EP. One question I always like to ask, like about like for like artists, like the meaning behind the cover art for each album. So I wanted to know like what made you pick that picture for your album.
All right. Well, that one was like it kind of came with the. I thought of the title of the album before I thought of the artwork. So like the title and Blood. It kind of came from the idea that just like, you know, after all the stuff that we'd kind of gone through just to keep this band going, it was kind of a statement that through all the blood and tears and everything, we were finally able to see the light and finally get this album out to the world and let everyone finally hear it after so long, and people have been waiting and we had been waiting. You know, it was just kind of a real, I guess I kind of put a title on the story that was that album. And then the picture, it kind of represented the things that kind of the title were about. You know, it was kind of like the Ouroboros was sort of a symbol of infinite. The moth was like a symbol of like rebirth. So putting them together, it's kind of a combined symbol of like infinite rebirth kind of thing.
Oh, okay. My next question is about the song Ephemeral. I wanted to know like what goes into like making song like that, since it's like really unique, like 6 minute like transition with like piano, with this like crazy like 30-second period of like craziness, because you don't see that like much more in like metalcore albums, like especially. But like the last time I like heard that was in the band in Fear and Faith. I don't know if you ever listened to them, but their song Gamic.
That was kind of, I don't know, I can't really recall what was happening, why we started doing that. I know we wanted to have, like, we've always kind of had instrumental tracks on all of our releases. We had one on our first EP. We had the song for the Lost Lenore that was on our album Strong Hands, and we've always kind of had instrumentals just because we when we were writing this, we used to have a keyboardist, and he was a really talented dude, and we wanted to like really show off what he could do, and so it was just we're kind of like a way to kind of let him go crazy, showing off what he was able to do and whatnot. And we at the time we were recording the whole EP. We were just, David was really experimenting with just making ridiculous noises with his guitar. So a lot of that, the instrumental is keyboards and kind of synthy things going on, while David's just making ridiculous whale noises with his guitars. And I don't know, it's just a way to kind of break up the kind of, it's part of the dynamic, I guess you could say. We have our heavy moments and we have our soft moments. I almost, looking back now, I'm kind of feeling like I wish we kind of had not made it 6 minutes long, but
I thought it was kind of cool because the word means short-lived, and that like short burst of like 30 seconds of craziness in this like 6 minute like prelude type thing was pretty cool.
Super happy, ironic.
The ephemeral idea, I think, was just kind of, calling it ephemeral was, I think, the idea was that, like, everything is just, it's temporary. Everything in life, everything in the world is temporary, and that's just kind of, I don't know, the vibe of it was like kind of coming to terms with the fact that, it's, everything doesn't necessarily, make a huge impact, but it's also short-lived, and just kind of take it for what it is.
I got 2 more questions.
Cool.
For the EP, what was the most challenging part in making this 6-track, 7-track album?
What do you think, David?
I mean, it was kind of a mix of just being happy with what we had before we went into the studio and made it final. I've always had just this issue of like, I have the hardest time just finishing songs in general.
Letting them go.
That happens like with lots of artists. They always like, or just like artists in general, they like make it and they just say, oh, it's like not good enough type of deal.
Yeah.
That's absolutely it's a real thing.
Yeah. Like, my issue is that, like, I'll get started on so many different songs, but it takes me so much longer just to finish them.
Yeah.
It was really difficult just to kind of, like, really just get that all to really come together. For me, at least.
I know we'd done like we'd track the whole thing, and then we were listening to our rough mixes, and we're like, well, we should probably restart tracking on this from scratch. And it was kind of during that downtime when we didn't have a vocalist, we didn't know what was going on, and we were like, we should probably just take this time to really make sure everything sounds as good as it can. And we basically scrapped all of the guitars and re-recorded them. But I don't know. I think probably the toughest thing during that whole recording was really trying to figure out what we were doing about a vocalist. We had a friend of ours who was filling in that was, he was just a super solid dude. He came out on a tour with us. He played all of our local shows with us, and he was a phenomenal asset to our band. And he, we were trying to get him in the band, but unfortunately it just kind of didn't work out that way. And so kind of not knowing what was going to happen, I think, was probably the thing that took its toll on me personally, just having the thoughts of, you know, are we ever really going to figure this out or not? And that kind of played into the lyrics of one of the songs on there, which is called DSM. That was written, like pretty much entirely by me, and it's kind of about anxiety or not knowing what's gonna, you know, what exactly is gonna happen, whether or not what you're doing is you know, gonna make any difference in the long run. And that kind of was summed up how I was feeling about, you know, what we were doing with the vocalist and all that kind of stuff. Just, you know, is this really ever gonna end up happening? And I'm really glad it finally ended up coming out, because it was a pretty crazy time, I think, for all of us.
Yeah, finding the vocalist was such a pain. It was so relieving that we're finally a full band again. Like, I haven't been in a full band in like 3 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So speaking of like how like you have like all these like songs planned and stuff, like, and you just have to like finish them before in October, like in your update about the band and stuff, you put in the update that you're announcing an LP to be released this year, and you got 20 songs in progress. Are you planning to put all 20 songs on the album, or are you going to cut back down to like 10, 12?
We'd contemplated the idea of doing like a double album, like, you know, two full albums basically released at the same time, but I don't think we're gonna end up doing that. It's definitely gonna get cut down. I'm personally not a fan of like the 10-song album. I think that's kind of, I don't know, cheap in a way. You know, I like longer albums. I mean, even if it is only 12 songs, you know, I feel like 12 is still better than 10. I feel like 10 songs is just taking such an easy way out. And you see bands nowadays doing more and more, you know, like the Word Alive's new album has, I think, 15 tracks on it. You know, it's like that to me is like getting your bang for your buck.
You also
so
see, like,
I know we're gonna
bands like making all like these like trilogies, just like say or like just like 2 albums of like a full story, like say like Between the Buried and Me, like each album is like a different story. Or like one of my favorites recently, I Exist, they pretty much made a 4-part, like 6 like song per part series of like the rise and like fall of like humanity. So I thought like bands doing that is like really interesting. It makes like it more like it gets people more into it, I guess, and like listen like more for everything.
I love the idea of being able to, you know, like really tell a story with a whole product rather than just have a bunch of songs compiled into one. It's definitely, we've always wanted to do something that had a concept, and we might end up doing it this time around. But I know we're definitely going to cut down. You know, it's not going to be, you know, 20 songs on an album by any means. We're hoping to have it out towards the end of the year, because at the moment we're actually working on another EP actually that we're trying to get out before then, just so we can have more songs out more frequently, I guess you could say. And we want to really show off David now that he's singing, and it's just trying to show kind of the constant evolution of us. You know, the Within Blood and Light, those songs were finished in 2014 basically. You know, we had the whole thing done in 2014, and it just took us so long to get it out that it's like, it's new for the listeners, but it's really old to us at this point, you know, So it's like, we want to get the more, you know, even more current stuff to us out now as well, you know? So it's just to kind of show how we're changing, how we're evolving. And so that's why we don't really want to wait until we have the album completely done. We really want to get out these songs that we're going to, hopefully put out within the next couple months and really show off where we are now.
Yeah.
All right. That's about much time we have. Where can for the people who like what they heard during the EP, where can they find you? Like internet wise.
Yeah.
Find your music.
You could reach anywhere. Like, we have our Facebook, facebook.com/artifacts. Twitter, you can find us. Our name on Twitter is just as Artifacts. Same with Instagram. You can find our music streaming on Spotify, YouTube. You can purchase the album digitally on iTunes. We also have a merch store that you can find through our Facebook at storenvy.com. We have a bunch of new merch items, or just a couple new shirts. We have physicals of the EP. and we have a lot of our older designs up for grabs. So hope anyone who wants it stops by and picks up something cool.
All right. I wish you luck with the future LP, and that's it.
Thanks,
All
man.
right.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure. Love to do it again.
Yeah, totally. If you're ever in the Long Island area, we'll definitely do like a live set or whatnot.
Nice.
Yeah, I would have no problem with that.
All right, bye guys.
All right, man. Take it.
And that was as Artifacts. Now we're going to continue on with pop punk playlist, and right after that we'll probably have some more indie rock coming your way. Probably will cut down a couple of songs because time's running out. Again, if you liked what you heard from the As Artifacts, check out their Facebook, Twitter, listen to them on Spotify. I'll be posting links on my Facebook page, www.facebook.com/The Spectrum Show. If you like the programming, make sure to go on WSP.FM.